Support for Steppin Out comes in part from the Christovich family in honor of Mary Lou and Bill Christovich. This program is sponsored in part by the Eugenie and Joseph Jones Family Foundation, a local foundation proud to support the arts and culture in the greater New Orleans area.
I'm Peggy Laborde, and welcome to Steppin Out with updates on the local restaurant, arts, and entertainment scene. Tonight we have with us Poppy Tooker, host of Louisiana Eats, heard on WWNO Radio. Hey, Miss Poppy, great to see you.
Hi, Peggy.
Ian McNulty, food writer for the Times-Picayune, New Orleans Advocate. Hi, Ian.
Hi, Peggy.
And we have Doug MacCash, the arts and culture critic for the Times-Picayune, New Orleans Advocate. Hey, Doug. Hello. And then a little while later, we will have theater critic Alan Smason. But first up, Poppy. One Gretna restaurant is really doing its best to persevere.
Absolutely. They want us to have a fun Jazz Fest weekend despite everything. And that's the Sunray Grill, which is over on Belchase Highway in Gretna. They tried this out last weekend. It was very popular. It's their Jazz Fest menu. Guess what? I can go and get that pork chop sandwich that I've been looking for in my purse all week. That's one of the things they're offering, along with meat pies and crawfish Monica and crawfish bread. It's all coming in Jazz Fest size portions. So the prices are between $4 and $12, and they're offering regular menu items as well. So that's available tomorrow, Saturday, between 11 a.m. and 8 p.m. Just give them a ring and go on by and get your Jazz Fest on. Now, if you've had enough Jazz Fest food already, our friends at the Bywater American Bistro are doing a jerk drive-through. This has nothing to do with Steve Martin. This has to do with Jamaican jerk. And they're jerking everything this weekend. There's jerk whole hog, chicken, St. Louis ribs. Everything's just $15 for a portion. And it's served with roasted yams, cocoa bread, and Nina Compton's special house-made jerk sauce. And by the way, you can also order Mai Tais by the individual or the gallon to be included. You order by 4 o'clock tomorrow, you pick up Sunday, 4 p.m. on. Doesn't that sound
Poppy,
good?
the idea of Mai Tais by the gallon. Ooh, serious fun here. Right?
I got another gallon.
Absolutely.
I'll get for you a little later.
Okay. And Ian, there is a local art campaign that not only helps artists, but also, of course, our first responders. Tell us about it.
Peggy, there have been so many examples through this crisis of the way that people are connected in our community. And, not surprising to anyone, a lot of these are coming through our restaurants. They're flowing from restaurants through the people who care about them, in this case, to hospitals, and now out onto the streets. If you've been around New Orleans lately, you've probably seen these posters that have been turning up in shop windows, as yard signs. The message is the same. The art is different across many of them. The message is NOLA healthcare won't bow down. Now, that's a term from Mardi Gras Indian culture, of course. The Pelicans adopted it last season. Won't bow is this motto, this slogan of perseverance. And, of course, the healthcare workers on the front lines of this crisis embody that right now in their moment when the community needs them most. Well, people taking care of those frontline workers are organized under a banner called Feed the Frontlines NOLA. That's feedthefrontlinenola.org for information on them. They're paying restaurants to cook meals for hospital workers. And they brought the circle of support further out by hiring artists. They paid commissions to these local artists who are also out of work to create these pieces, which are appearing around town, hopefully giving a little morale boost to people. And those prints are available for sale to help the artists themselves. The online art gallery, Where Ya Art, has all of them listed. You can see 6 different prints from different New Orleans artists. But look around town. Next time you're driving around, you'll see them in people's front yards. You'll see posters on light poles. You'll see them in the windows of restaurants that are involved in this Feed the Frontline NOLA campaign. And to me, this really tied together a number of the pieces that we see happening in the community. It's mutual support. It's people being creative. It's people stepping outside of their usual business models to try to get something done and to help each other in a time of extreme circumstances. And so for me, driving around town, seeing these up in shop windows, seeing them over the plywood that's boarding up a lot of these businesses, it is a reminder of the connectedness. And that to me was an important story to tell.
And, Enos, one more thing that you've mentioned in the past, and that is that they're hiring a lot of out-of-work musicians to deliver the food too. So you have the artists and musicians, helping the first responders.
One of the great things that Feed the Frontline NOLA has done through the crew of Red Beans organized this from the start is they've developed systems. So it's not simply like, hey, we have some food, let's go drop it off at a hospital. That's not really going to work for hospitals in this day and age, right, in the current crisis. So they've evolved these really good protocols to do it safely. One of them is paying musicians who are otherwise out of work to be the drivers. They know where they're going. They know the pickups. They know the staff. It really formulates it, and it keeps these musicians working. They're up to about 14 musicians now who are on the payroll, earning money by supporting restaurants and feeding the front lines at the same time. So expanding it to artists through this collaboration with Where You Are and local artists was just a genius move.
And speaking of artists, and thank you so much, Ian, Doug, it would have been the second weekend of Jazz Fest. So let's focus on some of the folks who would have seen out there in those contemporary art tents, huh?
It's true. It's a tragedy. Not only is Jazz Fest obviously the great music experience of the spring and the cuisine, of course, but it is the city's biggest and best annual art fair. And that's gone this year. So the 240 some artists who were counting on that are out of luck. The Jazz Fest has taken steps to put you in touch with them. Should you want to go shopping virtually, you can go to the WWOZ website. It's not especially easy to find, so you have to search, but go to the latest more icon and then page through it until you find the contemporary crafts. And there's everyone with links to their websites. It's an important marketplace for New Orleans artists. I spoke to a brand new artist, Abby Cuey, who was looking forward to her first Jazz Fest. And I think she put it best when she said, it's a big bummer. She looked forward to Jazz Fest as the beginning of her professional career in New Orleans. I spoke to Gogo Bogarding, who's been at the Jazz Fest for years, and she said she counts on the Jazz Fest to pay the rent through the summer doldrums. When there aren't customers in the summer, she relies on the money that she made at Jazz Fest. And lastly, Lizzie Carlson. Imagine her disappointment. Lizzie sold out last year. She sold 77 out of 80 pieces. That's about as close to going home with nothing
Doug.
left over.
That's what's amazing about her. They're embroidered, aren't they?
Oh, yes. Yes. There may be no craft artist at the festival that better embodies jazz crafts because she does portraits of musicians in old-fashioned embroidery. And as she says, who doesn't think of James Booker and embroidery together, right?
And Gatemouth Brown and everybody too.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, thank you, Doug. And back to Poppy with good news about Napoleon House, huh?
Very good news, because the French Quarter's pretty dead these days, but the Napoleon House opened up earlier this week. They're going to operate now for drive up and pick up the yummies. Let's see. The muffalata, my favorite from the Napoleon House. And of course, their delicious gumbo, a fried shrimp poor boy. All of that delicious stuff is available now Tuesday through Saturday for drive up, pick up. But here's the killer. They've just started making frozen Pimm's cups. Doesn't that sound delicious? So you can get Pimm's cups by the individual 16 ounce. You can get a half gallon or a gallon. How about a gallon of Mai Tais from Bywater American Bistro and a gallon of Pimm's cups? Well, you've got quite a party there.
You certainly do. Thank you, Poppy. And back to Ian for a moment about Port Orleans Brewing Company. Some good news there, huh?
Yes, Peggy. Across the economy, we've seen businesses that are changing, shifting to meet the needs of what's happening right now. And in some cases, because what they were needed for before has gone away. Well, I'm here to tell you that the need for beer has not gone away at all. If anything, beer is a beverage for our times. And the beer is still flowing from Port Orleans. But what this Uptown Brewery has been able to do is find some partners to use its facilities and its supply chain for a different purpose. So like many of the breweries around town, this has a tap room. Well, this tap room has a kitchen that usually pumps out bar snacks for people hanging out there sipping a beer. Well, now what they've done is they've partnered with some of their suppliers, Natco, the beef distributor, Louisiana Fresh Produce, and they are putting together these community feeding programs that range from feeding doctors and hospital staff at Ochsner to giving out meals to anybody who's laid off who needs to come by for a meal twice a week. And the latest is an interesting program where they are putting together grocery care packages for people to bring home, specifically people who have been tested or been treated and released from the COVID-19 virus and are heading back home. They're heading back home, obviously, with instructions to stay home for a while. This program is making sure that when they get home, there's some groceries on the table. Now, the backstory here is fascinating, Peggy, because Port Orleans Brewery was founded in part, one of the co-founders is Zach Streif, the retired New Orleans Saints offensive lineman. Well, to get the funding going on this, Zach sends a text message to about a dozen or so former and present linemen that he knows around the league, mostly Saints players, and they all jump on board. They all say, we're in. We're going to help fund this effort. Immediately, they get $60,000 together. Well, this text message migrates from a bunch of offensive linemen to other people on the team, other players. Drew Brees gets involved. Drew Brees calls up his old offensive lineman, Zach Streif, the guy who used to block for him so well in the day. And he pledged a major contribution, up to $100,000 in matching funds, to really blow this program up. And it's helping get a lot more other people involved because these players are so high profile. The Port Orleans Brewery and the nonprofit they founded are able to leverage that and get more partners involved and really grow the program. So they're taking care of people who need meals. They're taking care of other businesses that are part of their supply chain, these food distributors that we're going to want to have back when things return to normal. So go to their website. You can learn more about a lot of their programs. And also, you can still swing by and get some beer.
Okay, thank you so much, Ian. And back to Doug, we know that many New Orleans museums are doing their best to have a lot of online activities and virtual exhibits. And you have a favorite these days.
I have a favorite. Everybody's doing their best. You can go online and look at the collections and more or less remind yourself of why you want to go to the museums as soon as you can when this is all over. There's some interactive stuff going on, interviews with curators, videos from the past, things like that. Children's activities are going on everywhere. But my favorite thing that I found was at the Historic New Orleans Collection website. And what they have is a show called Medley about the history of music in New Orleans. It's perfect for the Jazz Fest weekend. You can spend a little time there. And this is one of those great websites where it's really a rabbit hole. You go down it expecting one thing and 20 minutes goes by and you're looking at something else. Wonderful stuff. Like they have recordings of reproductions of what Native American music might have sounded like at the time that the city was founded. And then a little later, you'll find a piece of music where Native Americans went to Europe and demonstrated their drumming traditions, whatever. And a classical musician then wrote a classical score on harpsichord to interpret what the Native Americans had done. And there's just fascinating things like that will lead you around through, back alleys of New Orleans music that are unexpected and wonderful.
Well,
In
Doug,
addition,
I per your and per your advice, I mean, I took a look at it, of course, and they have a great website, but they take you on this 360-degree tour around the exhibit, which is in a room itself, but then you click on, as you say, different aspects of it. But let's talk also about the very end, because I'm real excited about some of the interviews. There's this whole sort of wall, but you can do this virtually. Tell us a little bit about that.
right. Well, I was going to mention that if you have one of these hanging around the house, you install your phone inside of this, and it becomes a stereo view. I couldn't exactly get
Oh.
it to work, but it was great anyway. I had fun doing that, and so you can have a very virtual experience. And yes, at the end there's a wall of videos to choose from. Wonderful stuff. And WYES is well represented there.
Yes, I was going to
Some
say we're really
programming
proud
from
of that there's some
W.
excerpts from past shows about New Orleans music. Thrilled. Hmm. Yeah.
Easy to spend some time there.
Yeah. And we should also point out, though, when you go to the HNOC's website, to click virtual exhibits, because they have online exhibits and they also have the virtual exhibits, a little bit different there. But we also wanted to talk about some free wallpaper, Doug.
Oh, that's right. I almost forgot. It's become customary in meetings such as this to put wallpaper behind you that might even be better than this room I'm in. And they are offering a half a dozen images, vintage images of Jazz Fest, which would be terrific. Next time you're
Wouldn't that be
talking to your cousins or your aunt, you could be right there on the fairgrounds.
so much fun? Thank you so much, Doug. And now here's Alan Smason of Crescent City Jewish News and TheaterCriticism.com. Alan?
Well, Peggy, with the announcement by Mayor LaToya Cantrell that she was holding firm in not allowing any public events, and Governor Edwards extending his stay-at-home mandate until May the 15th, a lot of theater companies are now thinking about what they're going to be doing for the rest of the summer. Right now, it was just announced that Summer Lyric at Tulane will be canceling their third production for the year. They still are holding to the hope that they can still present the regional premiere of Once Here at the end of July, beginning of August. They will, however, be posting their 50th anniversary gala as part of their GiveNOLA.com campaign that they'll be starting off. That'll be starting on Tuesday, the 5th. Again, Le Petit is also going to be starting their campaign the same. Give NOLA Day. They've now got a new website called GivingTuesday.com. And again, you can check that out. I would imagine that just about every theater company in New Orleans would be having their own fundraisers for Give NOLA Day. Now, while New Orleans theaters are still shuttered, there is a little bit of light to be seen at the end of the tunnel, because once Governor Edwards' stay-at-home mandate ends, it is possible that some of the theaters in Jefferson Parish may begin to open up in one of the first early phases of opening up the economy again. There are some people going to be meeting, Jefferson Parish officials, supposedly going to be having a conversation with Rivertown Theaters as well as the Jefferson Performing Arts Society, so we'll see what happens with that. Now, this evening's NOLA Theater Talks live stream will be having Cassie Steck-Worley and Claire Moncrief from the Shakespeare Festival at Tulane. And then we'll have more Tulane, because Marty Sachs and others from the Tulane Department of Theater will be on. We hope that you'll check that out. Again, that's NOLA Theater Talk, live streaming on NOLA Theater Folk Facebook group, as well as the TheaterCriticism.com Facebook page. Now, this coming Monday, I want to remind everybody, I'm very proud to announce that John Bigonnet, the award-winning author and playwright, will be my guest on NOLA Theater Talk. And again, this is the playwright who, of course, had the trilogy of the Rising Water plays, Rising Water, Shotgun, and Mold. And we'll be discussing his career and a number of other things, including Broomstick, which was, of course, a one-woman show done in dynamic pentameter as she portrays a witch. Again, that'll be coming up on NOLA Theater Talk. And did want to mention also a very special event will be on NOLA Theater Talk, because about 2 decades ago, 4 uptown ladies, doyens, if you will, decided to write a play based on their experience as Newcomb College alumni. And they gathered together, and what they came up with was something called Cherry's Jubilee, a play that had really great resonance over at the Contemporary Arts Center and Southern Rep. Several of the original actors are going to reprise their roles in a special live streaming broadcast on Monday, May the 11th. And that'll be Cherry's Jubilee. You want to check that out for sure at NOLA Theater Folk Facebook group or the theatercriticism.com Facebook page. Now, this past Sunday night, the Stephen Sondheim 90th birthday celebration was seen. And again, for those of you who missed it, it's still online. You can still check it out. Take Me to the World is what it's called. But among the people who were on it, Tony winners Stephen Schwartz, Sutton Foster, Bernadette Peters, Patti LuPone, Donna Murphy, Brian Stokes Mitchell, Neil Patrick Harris, Lin-Manuel Miranda, and our very own Michael Cerveris. Again, that was just a splendid show. Also, there was a trio of ladies who lunch, starting with Meryl Streep, Christine Baranski, and Tony Award winner Audra McDonald. I have to say that was a lot of fun. And also, I might mention the fact that Melissa Errico was there, too. Now, Melissa, she's one of the top Sondheim interpreters. She sang a song, but everybody caught sight of one book on her bookshelf behind her, and that was, of course, Irish Erotic Art. She hasn't stopped getting any mail on this the whole week long. And as far as shows to see this week, let me tell you that Andrew Lloyd Webber's The Shows Must Go On will be celebrating his 50th birthday all over again from 1999. That'll be starting up today, basically, and going for 48 hours until Sunday afternoon. You'll want to see that. And then check out National Theater's production coming up of Frankenstein, starring Benedict Cumberbatch and Johnny Lee Miller. That'll be on from now and through next week. That's all for now, Peggy.
And now time for our picks of the week. Poppy.
Well, I've got good news from Rosedale. Susan Spicer is back in the kitchen there Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. She's hoping to expand in coming weeks to additional days. This weekend, of course, she's got Jazz Fest food. You can get a soft-shell crab poor boy from Susan, a cochon de lait poor boy, but you can also get her yummy turtle soup, her campanada. I love that, those Rosedale regulars. But catch this one. Also, Peggy, by the gallon, they're offering Mondo's favorite white sangria. So, big party from Rosedale, and get that food from Susan herself.
Absolutely. Thank you. Doug.
I'm going to take you back to the medley exhibit again. If you go to the Historic New Orleans Collection website, search for the medley history of New Orleans music, follow it to the end in the videos, and the first video you'll encounter is Big Frida's first television appearance from 2001. And it was wonderful to see. I mean, my goodness, comparing that act to the act today, she performs the song "It's All Good in the Hood." And
Doug, she looks totally different. Her body, it looks totally a different transformation. Huh?
Looks different, but the act is sort of the same. Frida leads.
Yes, it is, and there's twerking. There is
twerk on stage. It's great. It's great.
Thank you, Ian.
Peggy, there have been many restaurants reopening in the past few weeks that that had shut down earlier in this crisis. One of them I wanted to bring people's attention to is Pascal's Manale, one of the classics. It's just really interesting to see some of the oldest restaurants in New Orleans coming back and embracing this new era, right? So it's, of course, it's takeout, much like everybody else across town, and no oyster bar for now, which is just my favorite oyster bar right there. But rest assured, I'm told that Thomas Uptown T. Stewart, the famous oyster shucker there, is doing well and cooking some of the food in the kitchen. So Pascal's Manale is back. You can get some of their classics to go.
Sounds great. And now here's Alan with his pick of the week.
For my pick, Peggy, I want to let everybody know about a special concert tomorrow at Feinstein's at Home Online. It's Joe Iconis and Helen Marcus with Johnny Cash and June Carter Cash love songs. It's titled Love Letter. And check it out. That's at www.54below.com, 54 Below at Home. That's all for now, Peggy. See you at the theater.
And now my picks of the week. The New Orleans-based t-shirt company Dirty Coast is selling shirts that benefit the Feed the Frontline NOLA. Go to dirtycoast.com for details. Local jewelry designer Patrice McMurray is an artist who would have sold her work during Jazz Fest. So please check out her work at patrice.com, and she has some lovely items. And Patrice's husband, guitarist, singer John Rankin, who has been appearing at the fest for many years, is holding live online concerts on his Facebook page, Tuesday and Thursday evenings at 6 p.m. They are recorded and they stay online on his page. As with many of course, the local musicians doing online concerts, a donation is always appreciated, and you can see ways to do that, of course, on our screen. And now we leave you with music from one of John's recent Facebook concerts, a song played often by jazz pioneer sweet Emma Barrett, Just a Little While to Stay Here. Thank you all. Thank you all so much for being with us. Thank y'all. Thank you, my friends. And thank you so much for watching. Good night.
Just a little while to stay here. Just a little while to wait. Just a little while to labor in path that's almost always straight. Yeah, just a little more of troubles in this low and sinful state. Then we'll enter heaven's portals and sweeping through those golden gates. Just a little while to stay here. Just a little while to wait. Yeah, just a little while to labor in the path that's mostly always straight. Yeah, just a little more of troubles in this low and sinful state. And we'll enter heaven's portals, yeah, sweeping through those golden gates. Right through that gate.
This program is sponsored in part by the Eugenie and Joseph Jones Family Foundation, a local foundation proud to support the arts and culture in the greater New Orleans area. Support for Steppin Out comes in part from the Christovich family in honor of Mary Lou and Bill Christovich.